Hi everyone and welcome back to Cloud BI Academy. So I am really excited for today's session because this topic is extremely important for ETL developers, our data engineers and SSIS and ADF related professionals. So it is especially for anyone preparing for interviews. So today we are doing to understand incremental load and the three most commonly asked approaches. CDC, checksum, and timestamp. So by the end of this video, you will know why we need incremental loads, how each approach works, and how to answer interview questions with full confidence. So let's begin. So first question in our mind, why do we need incremental load? So before going into CDC, checksum or timestamps, let me ask you a question. Imagine you have a table with 10 crores of record and every day only 200 records change. So would you reload all 10 crore record every day? Of course not. So full load is slow, expensive and unnecessary. That's why we use incremental load. So where we only load new or change records, not the entire table. So this saves your time, server resources, cost and network bandwidth. So incremental load is not optional. It is mandatory in real-time projects. Now go to the overview of approaches. So in real projects, there are three major ways to implement incremental loading. First is your CDC, that is called change data capture. Then our checksum, it is called to it is used for to detect change roles. And last approach is timestamp, where we using modified date or we are separately we are capturing our load date and compare both date, and based on that we are loading our incremental data. So now let's understand each one in a simple and interview ready way. So first we go through with our first approach, that is called CDC. So first question in our mind, what is the CDC? What is CDC? So CDC means change data capture, and in CDC it automatically tracks our insert operation, update operation, and if uh, it is found some discrepancy in our source data and our destination data, so automatically delete from your tables. So it means we can say that it is tracking insert, update, and delete all the operations. If you understand in a simplest way, so how it is working. So SQL Server listen to the transaction log. Okay. So this is our source table. So it is taking the first transaction log. In transaction log, like we have a one, two, three. These three rows are there. Okay. So whenever a row has changed, it means we have do some modification in second row. Okay. Or we are deleting some row, uh, deleting our third row, or we get in any new record as a fourth. Okay, so these type of changes, SQL store information in special CDC tables. So that is called our change table, CT. So ETL reads only those changes, and so you get the new rows, updated rows, and deleted rows, everything automatically. How to explain CDC in interview? So before understand this concept, I can go to the some prerequisites because SQL Server edition that supports CDC. Okay, so it means SQL Server supporting. Okay, for on-premises SQL Server only for the standard and enterprises. Okay, agent must be enabled and running, and you need to system admin. Okay, so these prerequisites for your servers, and based on that you can enable the CDC. So basically what happening while you enabling the things. So when you enable CDC on any table, it means we have a order table and we want to enable CDC for the orders, because most of the time we have getting the more transaction on our order tables. So this is one example I can say that. So based on the we have taken a sample of order table. Okay, so in order table we have daily basis we are in real time we are getting some modification or some changes are there. So when you enable CDC on your table, so SQL Server automatically create a table like CDC dot our order underscore CT. Okay, so once this table is created, so here we have capturing the operations like insert, update, delete, also getting the last sequence number that is called LSN. So log sequence number, it is related to every log we have created a sequence number. Okay, and your ETL simply query this CT table for new LSN, and based on that we can do the transactions. Now the next question is how to explain CDC in your interview. So for that one, simply you can say that CDC is a SQL Server feature that tracks changes using the transaction log, and it capture insert, update and delete operation without modifying the source application or source data. And ETL reads change using LSN. Your it is a LSN based. It means log sequence number and load them incrementally. And it is capturing delete automatically. It means our we have transferring some data from the source to destination, and if uh, deletion happening in our source, so automatically it is removed from our destination also. So before we move forward, tell me in the comment, is your company using CDC, or in your project you are using any CDC operation, and if any doubt on the CDC topic. So in my next video I'm go through with demo also, so where I have explained all the things related to our ETL operations for all three approaches. Okay, now move to our second approach. This is our checksum approach. So in checksum approach, first we understand what is the checksum. So checksum is basically a fingerprint of each row. Okay, it means every row mark as a uniqueness. Okay, and think of it like this: if any value in the row change, okay, so it means in your fingerprints some changes happening. So in ETL we simply compare fingerprint of source and target row. If the hash value is different, so row is updated. If the row is missing, it is marked as a new. Now how we explain this checksum logic, because mm, it is the most time interviewer can ask to you uh, what is the exact checksum. So checksum uses a hash value generated from important column, And ETL compare hash value from the source and target. If the hash differs, the row changed. This avoid comparing all column individually and improve performance. Now next question in our mind, where is checksum used? So checksum is used when source system does not support CDC. Okay, timestamp column is not reliable because sometimes we know that our date modification is not captured correctly. So in that scenario, we are using the checksum, and you need to detect changed data quickly, and you want a flexible solution. But remember, checksum detect, insert, and update easily. For delete, you must compare the keys between source and target. Now we can understand it in a better form. I will show you some example here. So for example, we have a customer table, or I can go through the example, correct example here. One second. So this is our employee table. Okay. So here we have in row number one, we have employee ID, employee name, department, and salary. So this is a uniqueness for this row. Okay. So for checksum, we have creating a calculated column. It means we created a one column row checksum. Okay. So in first example, how like these are four row are there. Okay. So select checksum your important column. Like if we required any specific column, like we want only the employer name and department are changed, so then our delta load happening. So just you get the checksums here. Positive integer, it means it is greater than 0, and in negative it means simply it is less than 0. Okay, so sometime it is not qualifying the thing. So not worry about that. We can, based on this checksum, we can compare our source and destination data. So it means something has been changed in our employer name, so automatically our checksum value has been changed, and that is the way you can compare and reload the data based on the increment. So this is a one method where we choose some common columns. This is a column approach, and this binary checksum, it means it is a creating a based on the all the columns, like your I for example in employee table we have ID, name, department, salary, so it is taking all the columns here. So we can discuss these topics in detail in our future videos if we have prepared some uh, descriptive video with the demo, so it is help us to uh, hands on the our full load and incremental load, because in current scenario we are using most of the project. If you are working as a data analyst, so you are aware about that our main issue is the loading of incremental data without any interruption. So simply we can say that in checksum we have compared hash values. I have already shared the data, like how we creating a hash data. So basically we have creating one column in our table where we loading the checksum value. It is detect the insert and update, and deletion detection by a key mismatch. If key mismatch is happening, so it means data has been deleted. Like, in that approach, we can follow the deletion. Now the third and final approach, timestamp. So basically, timestamp. This is the simplest incremental load approach. So every row has a modified date or last updated column. So ETL store the last successful timestamp. So basically we have capture last update last update data like yesterday 12 a.m. we have last captioned the data. So today we have loading data based on the greater than value. So ETL store the last successful timestamp and load only rows where our today get date is greater than sorry our modified date is greater than our last captured date. So this is very lightweight and easy. Okay, understanding this approach. So this is a simple workflow I have created where we have a modified date in our source table. Okay, and we have getting the last loaded date from our watermark table. Watermark table means we have creating a we have created one audit log table. Okay, in audit log table we have capture all the entity last loaded date for all entity, like we have a project, customer, and these type of entities are there, and we have taken the last loaded date, what time last loaded has been happening. So we have comparing both the date and based on the load only that row where last load has been greater than. Now we talking about some pitfalls. So timestamp pitfalls but these are tricky because you know that in the first region is late arriving records, clock issue because we are living in a different time zones. Sometimes we are our server in different time zones. So that is the one thing we here we mentioned that. Okay, row update without changing and modified date, same timestamp for the multiple updates. So these are the some drawback here. So during interviews, mention at least two of these, and you will impress your interviewer. Like you have idea about all the things related timestamp. So if you have any question related to the modified date and how we creating the columns, how we will create the checksum. So you can put your comment. I can get back to you with proper explanation. Then move to comparison of. So if we going to compare this, so we know that CDC best for the accuracy. Checksum it is a flexible, and timestamp it is for the easiest way to load the data, incremental data. Let's quickly compare all three. So CDC capture deletes log it is a log based high accuracy. For checksum hatch compare no delete tracking flexible, and in timestamp use modified date easiest and no delete detection. So in interviews always show that you understand this comparison. One or two questions most of the time interviewers ask to you, like how will you implement incremental load in your project. So in simply word you can say that I will choose the method based on source system capability, CDC if available, timestamp if the column is reliable, or checksum if source doesn't support CDC or timestamp. So this is the better way you can define the explanation. Okay. Now most of the second question is which method capture the delete. So for that one, CDC handle delete automatically. Timestamp does not. Checksum detect deletes only by the comparing missing key. Because sometimes we follow this approach also, like our merge join and all. So that is way. where we are doing, but that is a different scenario. We can discuss later for that. Next thing is what is difference between CDC and change tracking. So CDC give full before after detail and uses a transaction log. Okay, but change tracking is lightweight and track only which row is changed. So these are important point. Every time you can remember that. Now we go to the our concluding conclusions. So now you know the three major incremental load method used in ETL and data engineering projects. Remember CDC for accuracy, checksum for flexibility, and timestamp for simplicity. So this topic is extremely important for interviews. So make sure you revise the differences. Now we can end this video. So if this video helped you understand incremental load in a simple way, so please like, subscribe and comment your favorite approach. If you want a PowerPoint or packages and demo SQL script for this video, so just tell me in the comment or here in the chat. I will create it for you. So thanks for giving your time. So let's meet in our next video. Thank you. Bye bye.